Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be checking out some of the best looking upcoming games scheduled for release in 2026. These are some of the titles I am genuinely excited for, not only because they look good in terms of their various features, systems, and mechanics, but also they are just some darn good looking games, quite literally. We've got some real visual eye candy in here. Quick note, by the way, every game on this list is also part of the next wave of RTX supported titles with leaps in both visuals and performance on GeForce RTX 50 series GPUs. They are sponsoring today's video, but we will get into that a little later. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into the list. All right, first up is Resident Evil Requiem. The next major installment in the RE franchise sees us returning once again to Raccoon City. Massive surprise here, things aren't going so well. Being the headquarters of the former global pharmaceutical company Umbrella, we should expect as much. If you don't recall, back during the original zombie outbreak of 1998, the government approved this sterilization operation where they unleashed missile strikes on the city in an attempt to bring the situation under control. At the time, this seemed to have worked. However, lurking under the surface this entire time was an even deadlier threat waiting to emerge. Wow, it's a big surprise, right? Yeah, now we got to deal with that. In Requiem, we play as Grace Ashcroft, an intelligent analyst for the FBI. Following the mysterious death of her mother, she heads to an abandoned hotel to investigate what happened, and things pretty much immediately go sideways. The game continues the series' classic survival horror elements. We'll be going around the environment, conducting investigations, solving puzzles, managing resources, while constantly interrupted by spooks, jump scares, which result in intense, unsettling combat encounters and or running away. You know, it's the typical formula of you are in a place having to search for a person or information or whatever. As you're going around, you'll come across areas that you can't access initially, and then you'll have to search the surrounding environment looking for whatever items or things you need to progress forward. And of course, inevitably during this process, some terrifying creature jumps out of the shadows that you have to deal with. Now, one really nice thing is we're going to be able to freely swap between first and third person mode in this game, letting us either get a closer look, kind of a more immersive experience while we're searching for clues in the dark, or if we just want a better field of view, which will be great for any times we're fighting or even fleeing, frankly. Looks good, honestly, and it seems like it's pretty simple. You can just swap back and forth in the menus from what I saw in some preview videos. Resident Evil Requiem will be launching on February 27th, 2026, coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. From all the trailers and gameplay that I've seen so far, this is bound to be full of plenty of terrifying moments, high suspense encounters, and I mean some seriously, like, legit looking visuals. Really impressive stuff here, which adds even more to the spookiness and the immersion. Worth noting as well that the game supports both path tracing and DLSS4. Now, especially in dark spaces, path tracing can really help amp up the quality of lighting. You got multiple light bounces, higher levels of detail, and additional path traced effects. And DLSS4, if you don't know, this just helps to offer improved image quality, you know, helping to overcome anti-aliasing's limitations, things like alpha textures, while also increasing the game's performance. Yeah, this stuff helps make the game look better, and all of this tech plays a big role in the rest of the games on today's list too, which brings us to the sponsor of today's video. Wow, awesome. NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 50 series cards, built to deliver the best experience for the next wave releases, including all of the games on this list and many more to come. This is what they call future-ready hardware, delivering high-fidelity gameplay. Now, what's this stuff actually do for our games? Well, the TLDR is DLSS4, path tracing, frame generation, and RTX all help developers deliver some really good-looking games and improving their performance along the way, which every game on today's list actually will benefit from. Now, if you'd like to learn more, you can check out NVIDIA's GeForce RTX series of cards for yourself. We've got links in the video description below. Thank you to NVIDIA for sponsoring today's video, and let's go ahead and get back to the games, yeah? All right, next up, we've got Phantom Blade Zero. This is an action RPG all about high-speed, authentic martial arts combat. A few months ago, they released a gameplay trailer, which gave us a sneak peek of the game in action, and it's looking pretty good. Now, what stands out most immediately to me are some really solid-looking sections of action combat. It's all rather fast-paced, mixing in attack combos, weapon swapping, special abilities, and various defensive maneuvers. You got a lot of dashing, zipping around enemies, attacking from multiple angles while trying to avoid being hit with dodges and parries. Also in this gameplay, we see stealth takedowns, environmental puzzle solving, loads of interesting traversal, including wall running. There's some pretty cool enemy design and variety, and there's also the expected boss fights, which from what I can see here have some pretty unique looking mechanics. Beyond the good looking gameplay, over on the Discord, the official Discord, they had a developer Q&A, which we learned some more about the game. They said there will be different difficulty settings catering to your preferred challenge level. During the aforementioned gameplay trailer, they were evidently running on the average difficulty. The world is going to be more linear, inspired by the multi-level design maps of Souls-like games. So rather than being like a big open world per se, you're going to be moving through this more tightly crafted map with hallways, rooms, and combat areas all interconnected. For defensive options, as we've seen, it looks like you're going to have the choice to parry or dodge normal attacks, while there will be attacks that you can't parry or dodge and will have to avoid just by trying to not get hit by them. And also, they do have a lock-on system that lets you focus your camera and character on a particular enemy. You should be pretty familiar if you've played games like this in the past. In the 22-minute gameplay demo revealed at the S-Party 2025 hands-on event, we got a few long, unedited segments of gameplay in which we see some pretty darn smooth performance. That's something that stood out to me most certainly. Greatly appreciated. We've had a lot of poor performance with games in recent years. More games running better is ideal. And with DLSS 4 and ray tracing, we get that sharper image quality during all this fast-paced movement, along with higher frame rates, keeping everything feeling responsive. Phantom Blade Zero is coming to PC and PS5 sometime in 2026. All right, next up, Capcom's got a brand new IP coming in 2026 that goes by the name PRAGMATA. This is a science fiction action-adventure game with a fairly unique twist to it. Set in the near future, you play as the dual protagonist Hugh and his android companion Diana, who work together to make your way through this lunar research station teeming with threats. As you explore the lunar base, you'll encounter a variety of dangerous foes. These are enemy bots protected by reinforced armor, which you will fight back using the combined skills of both characters. So Diana will hack enemy systems to expose their weaknesses, while Hugh then takes aim with his diverse arsenal of firearms. Hacking involves engaging in these literal mid-combat mini-games. If you do this successfully, it opens up weak points on the target, which Hugh then attacks using one of his 4 different weapons types, each tailored to different situations. From the gameplay footage we've seen, this kind of twist on traditional third-person shooter formula actually looks pretty interesting and engaging. I really love to get my hands on this. Outside of the combat, the pair can work together in exploration and puzzle solving. You'll be using Hugh's thrusters to cross gaps and reach higher spaces, and Diana can hack various security systems and gain access to otherwise locked off areas and blocked paths. And then periodically, as you're out and adventuring, you're going to head back to your shelter. This is a home base of operations, which you will routinely be going back to in between the phases of exploration and combat. Here, you can upgrade your weapons, heal, and prepare for upcoming battles. Also, once again, yes, this is a pretty darn good looking game. Impressive visuals, supported and enhanced once more by both DLSS 4 to help maintain smooth performance during the heavier combat sections, and the ray tracing creates that realistic lighting while inside of the lunar base. PRAGMATA is coming to PC and PlayStation in 2026. 007 First Light. This is one of the games I'm really most eagerly anticipating next year. It's the latest title from IO Interactive, developer behind the much beloved Hitman series of games, and it looks like they're taking many of the elements of the Hitman formula, adding in more action, cinematic over-the-top combat, and of course the entire Bond narrative and theming. A couple months back, we got a chunky 35-minute gameplay showcase, which was rather impressive across the board. In it, we see a blending of these narrative building sections, chase scenes, exploring through huge locations, all with some pretty slick looking combat interwoven in between. So here's some of the highlights from that video. It all opens up with a few minutes of driving a car through the countryside while talking to your team about the upcoming mission that you're heading towards. This was actually pretty enjoyable, some good banter back and forth between the characters and a few legitimately chuckle-worthy moments. Then Bond, he was meant to stay in the car while the rest of the team went out, but he saw the suspicious bellhop and decided to leave and check it out, while also simultaneously telling the team that he was staying put and he wasn't gonna move an inch, but he in fact did. And then as you're going around kind of checking out the environment, you can see a lot of the Hitman DNA in here. You get tons of NPCs kind of going about their business, and you can interact with them in many different ways, getting information about the area, the current event, potential ways you might actually be able to get into the place you're trying to get. Also, this entire space just looks pretty amazing. Like, again, the visual fidelity here, pretty awesome. Officially RTX supported game, big shocker. So the team actually at one point checked in on Bond and he was like, yeah, everything is nice and quiet out here in the car. No, he wasn't in the car, guys. I'm telling you, he wasn't in the car, okay? So he goes in, he sneaks his way past some guards, gets some info, and then later they transition to where he has found his target who just escaped. And then you got this big car chase sequence, driving through the streets, jumping gaps, crashing into all sorts of stuff. Eventually, all of this ends and culminates at this airstrip encounter, and this is where we get a whole bunch of gameplay. Combat here blends third-person cover shooting with this brawl-style melee fighting, literally like grabbing NPCs by their collars, tossing them around, shoving them off of ledges. You can even pick up and throw weapons at enemies, which are pretty neat. There was a ton of explosive barrels everywhere, almost comically so. Explosions constantly happening. At one point, he shoots a car with a single shotgun shot, and the whole thing explodes. And then there's like some of these like insane Bond moments. For example, driving a luggage transport vehicle up to catch a moving plane, and then climbing it and getting onto the wing, and then having a fight sequence before dumping into the plane. Pretty cool stuff. I mean, looks pretty fantastic, honestly. I cannot wait. Really hope this thing delivers. 007 First Light will be launching on March 27th. It's coming to PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch too. All right, Cinder City. This is a game we've covered multiple times, dating back to when it was originally called Project LLL. Now, this past Gamescom, they did reveal an official proper name. It's now called Cinder City, and it is a third-person open-world MMO looter shooter, and I've got hopes for it simply by the fact that I'm a fan of this particular genre mashup of games. Now, in some of the gameplay videos, we did get a sneak peek of what to expect. The game combines traditional third-person shooter action with some unique abilities, movement options, environmental interactions. You go around taking out enemies, collecting loot, and fighting bosses. It'll have seamless exploration with no loading screens between zones. All of this takes place in this alternate reality version of Seoul, South Korea, and includes a mixture of city areas, wilderness, outdoor and indoor environments, all with a touch of sci-fi fantasy and some kind of other dimensional stuff going on. While you're exploring these spaces, you'll engage with an assortment of enemies. Primarily, there's this faction of cyborgs, along with having the typical MMO open world activities, events, points of interest, and you will see other players running around. In fact, they have said that the game will support hundreds of players simultaneously exploring across the same play space. The game has both PvE with public events, dungeons, and raids, as well as PvP, offering competitive modes and open world fights. And then beyond the third-person gunplay, they've got a ton of kind of high-tech themed abilities: invisibility cloaks, scouting drones, grav grenades, missile launchers, aimbot ultimates, jetpacks, bullet-deflecting bubbles, a la Destiny. Vehicles are going to play a big role as well. There are both land and air options, along with what appear to be Titanfall-esque mechs that drop from the sky that can be then commandeered and piloted by the players. From a few interviews conducted around Gamescom, we also learned more about the MMO elements, endgame, class roles, dungeons, progression, beta testing, and more. So the main chunk of the game is going to be this open world online shooter where those hundreds of players can play simultaneously in the same field in what is a 7x7 kilometer wide city. The primary genre would be large-scale MMO shooters, what they've said. In terms of endgame, this is going to revolve around PvE content. There's the open world boss fights where groups of players take on oversized bosses, but there's also going to be instance dungeons where you are clearing your way through rooms of enemies with boss fights in between. No holy trinity. Instead, you've got various skills that you can pick and choose whatever options you want, choosing from different offensive, defensive, and support skills. There will be skill trees along with gear sets that will support certain playstyles, however. And also, they do have beta testing planned to start in 2026 with an open beta planned prior to release. This game is pretty high up on my personal wish list just as a fan of third-person shooter slash MMO hybrids, so I am very hopeful for this one. Games high up on my personal wish list as a big fan of third-person shooter MMO hybrids. Given how many players and effects appear to be on screen, I'm sure again that DLSS 4 will help keep the frame rates high and ray tracing adding more depth to the world. Cinder City is aiming for a release in the later half of 2026, coming to PC, consoles, and GeForce Now. Black State is an action-packed third-person shooter being developed and published by Motion Blur. This is probably one of the most visually striking games on the list, almost looking photorealistic at times. In fact, I remember when the first few trailers dropped, everyone talking about like, this game looks crazy. And yes, it too is RTX supported. Now, the tagline for this game is: a secret scientist organization summons you for a mysterious mission. Rescue captives and uncover the truth behind a cataclysmic event, but beyond the portal doors lies an unknown fate. Are you ready to enter? We'll find out. Some of the game's listed features include real-time portal doors. Sometimes you will open a door in a building, and instead of leading to the expected room, it leads to 2 entirely different new locations with no loading and seamless transitions between. Bunch of different enemies and close quarters combat. You'll face off against human and robo-sapien soldiers built to corner and overwhelm you. Enemies won't be sitting back and waiting for you to shoot. They will instead flank, adapt, and call reinforcements if needed. There will be boss fights, each with their own unique styles and attack patterns, and you get a variety of weapons and tactical gadgets, pistols, rifles, shotguns, and high-tech fusion guns, with options for more stealthy approach, going in guns blazing, and everything in between. The game is certainly visually eye-catching, and hopefully the gameplay holds up as well. I am intrigued enough to definitely give it a look. All right, last up on today's list, we have got World of Tanks Heat. This is a free-to-play PvP vehicle shooter where you pilot customizable tanks and unleash devastating skills in online competitive multiplayer battles. This is the latest game, as you might expect, from the developers who brought us World of Tanks and World of Warships, the two massively popular titles that I've dabbled a little bit with in the past myself. The game features multiple modes. You got 5 vs 5 and 10 vs 10 matches, divided between Conquest, Domination, Kill Confirmed, and Plant and Defuse, all featuring fast-paced, ability-enhanced vehicle combat. All of this takes place on diverse biomes. You'll fight across distinct environments with varied terrain structures and locations, constantly reshaping your tactical decisions. You can team up with friends, combining abilities and timing attacks against your opponents. There will be a growing roster of agents, each unlocking new experimental tanks, tactical options, and progression paths. And of course, there is tank customization, quite a lot of it, with each vehicle having a strict power cap, making you choose wisely between the various modular systems, reactive armor, signature weapons, and active abilities. It's a pretty straightforward game, a new evolution of the World of Tanks formula. Looks pretty neat, honestly, and of course, as with all the other games on this list, yes, this too will be officially RTX supported. World of Tanks Heat will be launching in 2026, coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Alrighty, so that does it for today's list. Some really great looking games in here that I'm definitely excited to check out. Once more, thanks to today's sponsor, all of the games here on this list get a real nice boost in their visuals and performance with their GeForce RTX 50 series of cards. And if you'd like to learn more, be sure to check out those links below. Either way, excited for the coming year of games, this list and many other games to come. It's just bound to be a fun year. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you as always for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, guys.